The untouchable Tru School Sports empire proudly presents something the boxing game has been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and we're live once again here on Tru School Sports. It's 4:24 p.m. We started a bit early. Right now, we're waiting for Rick Glaser. We're gonna have him on the show later on, so I'm looking really forward to seeing Rick today. Me and Rick haven't done an interview since April. So he's been clamoring for an interview. So I figured, you know what? Let's do it today. And while we do it, let's do it big. Let's do it big. But yeah, man, we had a great live last time. We had all kinds of guests. We had H Money, Mr. DAZN. We had Mini Max Boxing. We had just a lot of people on the live. Intangible Boxing, L Dog, some of our regulars. So yeah, if you were on the last live, I want to give you guys a special shout out because it was just absolutely exceptional. Just while we're waiting for Rick and while we're talking, if you guys could be so kindly, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments what city, what state, what continent you're watching from, and I will give you a shout out. Now, a couple of programming reminders here on Tru School Sports as the week progresses. August the 1st, Saturday, we will be live for Angelo Leo versus Stephen Fulton. You will get a live fight reaction for that fight. It's going to be a really good fight as, two young, hungry, undefeated fighters are fighting for that WBO. Was it tied at 122? So looking really forward to it. It's gonna be an excellent night of boxing. Pops, we got Pops next to me. Pops, is there anything you want to say to the people while we're waiting for Rick?
Yeah, man, ready to talk some boxing and get Rick in here so he can actually get some true intake about the boxing game. I think Rick's been around for quite a while, right? In the boxing game.
We're talking roughly 30 years or so, 30 plus years.
That guy knows in and outs about boxing. So if you have guys have any questions you want to ask him, feel free to ask him anything while they're talking and whatever, and he'll probably be able to answer your questions. Right now, no question is a stupid question. I want him to let me know personally who he thinks is the best promotional company based on how they treat the fighters and how they carry on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in other news, last night there was a small card on last night. You had Thompson Boxing putting on a minor pay-per-view show. You had a prospect Michael Dutchover. He was back in action, coming off of his loss to Thomas Matisse, and I had a chance to watch it. It was a small pay-per-view that Thompson Boxing put on a small club show. It was like $6.50. You pay for it. You got roughly, I think, 4 or 5 fights. I think it was 4 fights. The first 2 fights, though, were kind of hard to watch because the stream wasn't that good. It was really choppy, so I didn't really catch the first 2 fights. But I watched the co-main event and I watched the main event. You had Ruben Torres, a prospect. He got a stoppage victory. He looked all right, and then you had Michael Dutchover scoring a win, getting back in the win column. So it was all right. I'll probably buy the next pay-per-view, even though the first one kind of disappointed me. But you gotta support the club shows at this time because boxing as a whole. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. My bad, guys. That was Rick. Rick was trying to figure out where I sent him the link. So he'll be here shortly. But let me see what else is new in boxing. What else is new in boxing? Any boxing questions you guys have while waiting for Rick? Feel free to get them in right now. Also, feel free to check out any of the content on Tru School Sports that's come out. I know to this morning. Oh, never mind. We got Rick here, so let's buzz Rick in. I think that's Rick right there. Yeah. What's up, Rick?
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing on yourself.
I stole your lunch. You got a lifetime rain check.
Yeah, you doing me that lunch?
I definitely do.
Yeah, man. Well, there's definitely a lot to this.
It'll be a pleasure to meet you in person. I've heard so many nice things about you from Stacy. And when a guy like Stacy talks about somebody well, there's reasons for that.
What did he say exactly?
Well, he says you're a cool guy, you're a great guy, you're enthusiastic. That's bad to say. And he told, as I always say about guys like old timers like Stacy, they throw out compliments like manhole covers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do I look? Do I look bad?
I mean, you don't look as bad as you were advertising to me on the phone. You look all right.
Okay, because I got my hair a little slicked back a little bit, and I got a nice shirt on and everything else, or some kind of boxing shirt or some friggin' thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
4:30. Here we are, 4:30. Fire away.
Fire away. Okay. I wanted to get your take on the whole Showtime boxing schedule.
Everything. Just give me the start out, and I'm ready to go.
Okay. Well, what do you make of the whole like Angelo Leo, Stephen Fulton fight that's coming up this weekend?
I think it's an excellent fight. I mean, two undefeated guys. One's a PBC, one's Heyman, one's PBC, and one is Mayweather, which is a division of PBC. It's it's what boxing's all about. Two young guns going at it for the vacant title. There's nobody with 4 or 5 losses. There's nobody that was slipped into the ratings. They both want where they are. So we will get a good, legitimate champion.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the very few times I've ever seen two Al Heyman fighters fighting for a WBO title. Because didn't they say that they're not going to recognize the WBO?
Well, I think they shit on themselves, and when they made that statement, and they've been trying to go backwards from that over the last several years. So I think this is the part of the unshitting ceremonies, the unshitting ceremony is what it is.
Yeah, they got to undo all the unshitting they did to themselves.
Yeah, I don't know why they'd even talk. I don't even know why we would talk like that. It was ridiculous. Paco Barcasel, the president of the WBO, everybody involved with WBO is a first-class operation. They're great people. They're fair. Paco, the president, picks up the phone himself, and he gives a guy like me the same amount of talk time as he would, Bob Arum or Al Heyman or anybody else. And he treats everybody fairly. So I don't know what Al Heyman's beef. I know what Al Heyman's beef was, but it was unwarranted. Let's put it that way to you.
What was his beef?
Well, he expected preferential treatment because he's Al Heyman, and basically, Barcasel doesn't play that game. He treats everybody fairly and the same. And if you don't like how you're getting treated, like Rick Glaser gets treated, and how Bob Arum gets treated, and how All-Star Boxing Tatico Zavala gets treated, then you can go punt. And that's basically what happened. And he basically, Paco's a man of his word, and Paco just, basically told him, he says, we treat everybody fairly here. You're not, this is not the other organizations where they play favorites, and he doesn't do that. Everybody always asks, well, how come all Bob Arum's fighters fight for WBO titles? Because Bob Arum, when he schedules a fight, the fight happens. The WBO knows it's going to happen. It doesn't get canceled. It doesn't get everybody got canceled with the pandemic, but that was a national worldwide crisis. But it happened. Everybody. Another thing that these other organizations do, and I'm not saying any particular promoter, but I know Top Rank doesn't allow it. So when you fight for $200,000 or 300 or 400 or 500, whatever the figure is, these guys will put half on the contract so they don't have to pay the 3% on the whole thing to the WBO, or any organization. Well, the other promoters do that. Top Rank will not allow that to happen. Whatever you're getting, you're paying the 3% on. And Bob holds the line with that because he doesn't like to see people get treated like that, and that's just the way it is. If you're getting $1 million, you're paying $30,000. If you're getting $500,000, you're paying $15,000. These guys want to get $1 million, and then they want to pay $15,000. Doesn't work like that. You command $1 million because you're the champion of that organization. They had as much to do with you getting $1 million because you got $50,000 minimums in your contract, unless you're a world champion or blah, blah, blah. So they had as much the organizations had as much about you being world champion, getting $1 million as you do at throwing the punches. The fighters don't look at it that way, but that's reality. Take the famous story about a particular fighter 25 years ago. HBO said, we don't want to do your mandatory, give up the title. He gave up the title. Then they said, well, you're not a champion anymore. Well, wait, you just told me the title, all of it, because you didn't want us to fight the mandatory. Come on, guys. You know what I'm saying? You can't have your cake, you eat it too. That makes no sense.
It's like Stacey McKinley always says that working together works. Everybody has their role to play in boxing. You have your role to play. I have my role to play.
Everybody's got a role. I know what I do. I know what you do. I know what Stacey does. I know what this guy does. And that's what it is. Clint Eastwood had the great line. Every man has to know his limitations. I mean, it was a great line in a movie, but in real life, it's a great line.
Yeah. Well, I know like one of the other the marquee matchups that PBC announced were the two Charlos back in action. You got Jamal Charlo taking on Sergey Derevyanchenko and Jermell taking on Jason Rosario on pay-per-view. What do you make of it being on pay-per-view, Rick?
It'll bomb no different than Pearl Harbor.
Damn.
It ain't making it. That's a mega loser. Okay, the Charlos can't draw their breath. Nobody knows them. I'll give you a typical example. Okay, my wife watches boxing. My wife likes boxing. Okay, and if I mention certain fighters' names, who's that? Not a good sign.
Yeah.
Oh, not a good sign. Now, I'm not saying she knows all the fighters, but if she doesn't know them, they're in trouble on pay-per-view. Okay, remember one thing about pay-per-view when you're paying millions of dollars out to fighters. They need to draw general sports fans, not just boxing fans.
100%. Yeah.
That's the problem. The Charlos aren't drawing those kind of people. Okay, they're just not.
Yeah, they don't have that name value right now. And like I think
they'll never have that name value. They're 30-something years old now, 30, 31 years old. They'll never, if they haven't had it by now, they're never going to have it. Okay? I mean, that Lions Den Boxing, that LDBC group and stuff like that, I got to see them spend us $80 to watch the two Charlos. That'll be comical.
Yeah, because I had somebody on here yesterday.
If you want to have a rampage, you'll have 60 people on LDBCer's house. To watch it, everybody chipping in $1.25.
Oh man, for the one pay-per-view buy. Do you think this is gonna do worse numbers than like the Victor Postol Terrence Crawford pay-per-view? Because remember that did like 50,000.
Okay, understand one thing about it. Okay, that did like 79,000. Okay, but understand one thing: that pay-per-view was never designed to make money. Bob Arum knew he was going to lose money on it. The reason why he did it was because he put his foot down with HBO.
I remember that.
That's why it was principle. He knew he wasn't going to make any money. Listen, okay, you can never go by that fight and that number that he only did. Arum did zero marketing, zero advertising. The only marketing he did was with his mouth. Okay, and unless you're a hooker, that doesn't work real well. Okay. What you like that, huh?
I did like that. Yeah.
Thank you. So anyways, like I was saying to you, you can never go by that number, okay, because of the fact that it was never designed to make any money. Arum just kept the overhead down as low as he could, a cheap undercard, no marketing. So you can never go by that. And I hate when people use that as an example. He can't draw. He can't do this. He can't do that. Stop. It was circumstantial. Okay. Arum knew it wasn't going to draw. Arum knew it was going to make any money. He did it out of principle. And it actually helped propel HBO to be out of business because they ended up, because of that, they ended up going to ABC, to Disney, to ESPN, and getting that, 7-year, $133 million a year from ESPN. So supposedly those were the figures, but it was a 7-year deal. And 66 dates a year. So actually, it made a lot of money, that pay-per-view.
In the grand scheme of things, it made a lot of money. You're saying?
Absolutely, because that made Todd the Buff Aram, the president of the company, and Bob Aram's stepson, to go branch out and said, HBO is not the only answer. Let me see what I can do. Reached out to a Hollywood TV broker. They brought together all the parties. They did a deal, and it forced HBO out of business. So by Aram doing that, and Todd DeBuff going to ESPN Disney with that deal, it ultimately forced HBO out of business. So it ultimately backfired in HBO's face in the biggest way.
Yeah, and they were out of business like what, about a year or so after Aram made that move. So
yeah, well, they weren't out of business yet. They were. Aram made the move in the summer of 2017, and in 2000, they announced it about 8 months later, and then they went out about 6 months after that. Yeah, they were done.
Okay.
Okay. Peter Nelson and HBO got what every bit they deserved. You don't. One thing people have to know about business: you don't fuck with the truck when you're only a Jeep. And maybe Time Warner is the truck, okay, maybe, but HBO and boxing wasn't the truck anymore. It was the Jeep. There was other people coming in with new money. The Zone ended up coming in with money. ESPN came in with money, and they put themselves out of business. Now, if they wouldn't have angered Aram, okay, Aram would still be with HBO, and he was getting dictated to. He's not getting dictated to anymore. And Peter Nelson's not dictating to anybody either these days. So who wins? A legend. You don't fuck with legends, iconic figures. I don't care who.
Legends never die.
Doesn't matter what industry you're talking about. We happen to be talking about boxing right now because that's what we talk about, and that's what I'm in. That's what you're in. But it doesn't matter what the business is. You just don't fuck with legends. And that, iconic, legendary figures. Guy's a billionaire himself. So, not a good look.
Bob Aram has what they call "fuck you" money. Like he don't care. He has that "fuck you" money.
And that's what he did. That's what he did by doing that pay-per-view show. He said, well, "Hey, listen, I like Bob. I'm proud of him for what he did." And it spawned a whole new series of 7 years of boxing, 66 shows a year now on ESPN. So there you go.
100%. I know with you being involved in the boxing business, like it had what's been like the biggest difference in your business dealings in boxing since the whole pandemic started?
Volume, for starters.
Yeah.
Fighters a lot less because there's only been one company operating. I'm worldwide, and there's been travel bans and shutdowns all over the world. So very little boxing, top rank. But that's one, and the fighters are going to be forced to take less because there's less. Here's what the fighters don't get. Let's forget about the fact right now that everybody knows there's no paying fans, so the revenues are down. The expenses are way up because there's no side fees from casinos. There's no sponsorship dollars because the economy's bad. Okay, and the cost of doing a show just for the COVID testing protocol and procedures is astronomical. Everybody's got to have their own hotel room. They got to be in a bubble. They got to eat separate from the general population. You're talking about the hundreds of thousands a show. The testing alone, the actual only testing is $27,000 a show. Then you go to the hotel rooms you got to pay for, individual hotels where people used to double up in rooms. You can't do that anymore under this bubble thing. Okay, everybody's got to eat separately. You can't go eat at a buffet.
It's very strict. But you know what? You gotta give Top Rank and Bob Arum a lot of credit because we're seeing what's happening in Major League Baseball right now with my Marlins. They had 14 players test positive for COVID, and now baseball's all thrown out of whack. So it really goes to show you like the job Top Rank did.
Yankees in Philadelphia canceled also because I guess Baltimore. I think it was Baltimore or Miami. Miami played in Philadelphia yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Last few days. So that's a problem. Yeah, so the Yankees Philadelphia game in Philadelphia is canceled tonight. It's a hot mess. There's no question about that. But I congratulate Bob Arum and his COO of his company, the Chief Operating Officer, Brad Jacobs. He was the one that spearheaded this whole development of the COVID testing for boxing, not COVID testing overall, for boxing, and the protocols and procedures, and it's working. So obviously it's working. They haven't had a show canceled yet.
No, they haven't.
They know what they're doing. We got 2 baseball games canceled with no boxing over 2 months, and they were doing 2 shows a week. So they're doing something right.
Absolutely. There was a lot of criticism from people about the Top Rank shows, and I saw you getting into it on Twitter with some people about their about the Top Rank shows. What did you make of the whole Top Rank?
There was nothing wrong with them. First of all, every time Joe Tessitore came on the air, he called it the summer series a developmental series. How many times you got to repeat that to people? Are they morons? They don't listen? What is it? Okay, and there was nobody. The reason why Shakur Stevenson, he didn't even go up in weight, stay at the weight class. He fought a non-title fight. There's no sparring partners. Okay, you can't be in the. He only had 2 weeks' notice for his 10-round fight. He wasn't going to be able to get down to 126 pounds. He liked the weight. He stayed there. Great, but Top Rank did everything they were supposed to do. I thought the fights. I thought the Andrew Maloney fight, even though Maloney lost, and I and their clients of mine, I supply them with their sparring partners. Okay, to tell you the truth, it was a sensational fight. Okay, unanimous decision, yes, but it was close. It was a great fight. Andrew Maloney gave it his all, and it was an excellent fight. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I thought it was probably the best fight they put on.
Okay, and then Jason Maloney came back 2 nights later, and Leonardo Baez was supposed to be this beast that Golden Boy had, this big ringer. And he got the snot beat out of him, literally, yeah. and quit after the 7th round or whatever that was. So there was nothing wrong with the fights. We developed some stars. Belenga became a star. What's his name? Cody, Clay Collard. Clay Collard. Star.
I like him.
Let's see. Belenga became a star. Even though the Jason Maloney became a star, and even though Andrew Maloney lost, America wants to see the rematch because it was a good fight. And Eric won the rematch. It's in public demand. So it's funny thing, a 15-pound guy loses his title from Australia, and everybody wants to see the fight. Everybody wants to see that fight again. So there's reasons for that.
We got a question for you, Rick, from my main man, Unrivaled Boxing Talking News. He says, I don't want to tell you guys out of flow, but I have a small question. How does the whole election procedure for the International Boxing Hall of Fame for both modern and old-time fighters, who brings the electees?
There is an induction committee. In other words, there's a committee that formulates who goes on those all those ballots. I'm not on the committee. I'm only an elector there. Okay, but there's an actual committee. I don't know who the members of the committee are presently. They were switched up July of last year. I believe Lee Groves is one of them. I'm almost positive he is, but I can't say for sure. But I believe he is, and I don't know who the other gentlemen are. But there's I believe a guy from Australia is on it, and I believe a guy from Europe is on it. I think there's like 4 or 5 people on it.
So there's 4 or 5 on the committee, and then there's like a bunch of people on the just that regular on the ballot.
No, there's 4 or 5 people that place people on the ballot. They make that. Ed Brophy and I think 4 other people. Okay, and they make the decision to place them on the ballot. Okay, and then there's approximately 240 people that vote.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, so there you go, Mark. Unrivaled. I hope that answered your question. I saw on your Facebook account, Rick, you had an interesting post about Errol Spence and how he hasn't done any sparring, and how PBC publicist Tim Smith has been kind of just, not he's been shielding Errol Spence from the public and not really giving out good information. You want to expound upon that for those that don't follow you on Facebook?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. Certain things go on Twitter, certain things go on Facebook. What do I think? I think that he was, people are saying, well, Vinny Pazienza came back and he was a world champion. He became a world champion after he had that horrific car accident. There's a big difference. He was not ejected from his car at 110 miles an hour and skidded as a human being on pavement and dirt for 125 yards. He stayed in the car. And that is a very, very big difference. Okay, he was never ejected from the car, and that's where the confusion lies. Well, Vinny Pazienza, no, that's apples and oranges. Okay, that's like being on an ocean going vessel in a dinghy. So it's just completely different. So I don't think the injuries are way more than they're saying. People have seen Errol fights. He's got a bad limp. That's not a good sign. In general, I mean, he hasn't sparred. He hasn't done anything. Now, people are going to go back to the pandemic. Hold it. The pandemic, people have been sparring since June 1st. Okay? Yeah. He hasn't sparred. He hasn't done anything constructive. Okay, all we do is hear about the mouth with the surgery and stuff like that. Well, put it this way: if you need new teeth, you got to put something to put them into. And when you implant teeth, there's got to be something there. If you fractured your jaw, that's not a good sign for a professional boxer. Fractured jaws from car accidents at 110 miles an hour. So none of it's good. And I've said all along when people said, he's going to be back fighting, he's been okay. It's a long way from the lip to the ring. Don't ever forget that.
I mean, it's been what, 10 months, right? About 9 or 10 months.
It was October of last year was the accident. So I mean, okay, so that would be April. He could have been training over the summer and fighting in September, couldn't he? I guess he's not. So there you go. And another thing is, Danny Garcia is not training for a fight either. So
no, he's having the time of his life on Instagram.
Exactly. I mean, listen, we know what people are doing. This is a close-knit industry. There's 2,700 people in boxing worldwide that are in the business full time. Okay, 2,700, and that's every country in the world. Okay, and that includes fighters that are in the business full time, that box full time professionally. So if you just take the career professionals, maybe you got 1,800 people. So not a lot of people, considering it's a worldwide sport.
Absolutely. I know Vergil Ortiz fought recently the other night. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Of course. Why would I not?
I have to ask.
He looked great. I'm a believer. I'm a believer. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to beat somebody real slick and real fast and with fresh legs. He didn't stop Brad Solomon, who was an old timer, who had seen better days. But I don't see. He's like Jaron Ennis. He's like Paul Kroll. Are you familiar with Paul Kroll?
Yeah, I know Paul Kroll from Philadelphia.
Yeah, those guys, they're in that upper echelon. I just said recently on another talk show, I said the 3 best prospects in Americans right now, are all welterweights. 2 of them are from Philadelphia, Jaron Ennis and Paul Kroll and Vergil Ortiz. Those to me are the best prospects. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Garcia won't make a lot of money. I'm not saying Devin Haney's not going to make a lot of money, but I don't consider them prospects. One's a champion, one's a contender. And Vergil Hill's just getting into the contender status, and Jaron Ennis's career is just getting into contender status. But they're three really good fighters. I look for big things out of all three. Kroll, in no order, by the way. Jaron Ennis, and of course Vergil Ortiz. There's going to be some big fights there amongst the three. I'm not going to say them and one other person we call the Four Kings, but I think there's going to be big action fights and unification fights and all that happy horseshit.
Okay. Do you think Vergil Ortiz is ready for like the upper echelon welterweights? Because a lot of people are saying that he's ready for.
He had him right now. His next fight would be Ray Robinson because he's left-handed, and we got two left-handed champions, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. And so Ray Robinson would be next, and then I would take Vargas after that, and then he'll be what 18-0. I just think that's the answer right there. Okay, I listen. I don't know if they'll pay the money to get a Jesse Vargas because he commands a lot of money for some weird reason. I've never understood that he can't draw five people, but he's a big. He's a high priced B-side. Former world.
He's a legend in his own mind.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But he has commanded big bucks. He held Eddie Hearn up for big bucks. He's smarter than Eddie, obviously.
We got a question.
I should say at least he outsmarted Eddie. There you go.
Well, we know Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. They can be very charitable. They're a very charitable promotional company over there.
You think given Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas $9.7 million, and then he gave I understand $10 million for Danny Jacobs and Julio Cesar Chavez. Junior, I would definitely believe he way by millions and millions overpaid for those two fights.
Okay. Yeah, that he did. We got a question from L Dog. L Dog asks, he says, "Can you ask Rick if he?"
L Dog used to be a follower on Twitter, and he stopped following me. So for some reason, so let's ask L Dog why he doesn't follow me.
Okay, L Dog, in the comments, please answer why you don't follow the great Rick Glaser on Twitter anymore, man. You can't be doing that.
I got De La Hoya hits me up as a follower. Bruce Trampler, all the legends of the Hall of Fame, and L Dog doesn't follow me anymore. It's like they say in Miami, "Ay vey."
That's right. Away. You must have said something bad about his guy Philip Hergovic because he's asking if you know anything about his next fight. The rumor is that he's fighting on a PBC card. Is he now with PBC? So do you know anything about that, Rick?
I have not heard that he's with PBC. Sauerlands have a deal in place with Eddie Hearn, and the Sauerlands are his actual promoter. They're based out of Germany and Austria, for that matter, and they promote him. So I don't know if that's some kind of deal that was made. Maybe Heyman owes Hearn a slot. Maybe owes Sauerland a slot. I don't know that, but he is promoted by Sauerland and Eddie Hearn. So I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
But Aldo, you need to follow, bro.
Well, here's what he said. He answered your question. He said, I followed you because you said Dubois is better than Hergovic.
Well, I'll give you my answer to that. I've had guys spar with both guys a whole bunch of times with both guys. I'm the largest supplier of sparring partners in the world. And everybody told me that Dubois is a better fighter that came back. They sparred with both guys. There's always truth and volume. They all can't be wrong, guys. Okay, you know the truth, Ryan, the truth and quantity, right? If people tell you it's a great restaurant, it's a great restaurant. One guy says it's not so good. Who do you listen to? The 40 or the 1?
The 40. I'm gonna go with the 40. It's like with you, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, Rick Glaser is this, Rick Glaser is that," but then the majority of people like Rick Glaser, and the majority of people see you as a credible source of what's going on in the sport, because a lot of times you say things and they wind up happening.
Listen, between the LDBCers, the Haymanites, and the Agenda crew, okay, which are three racist bodies of people. And I've got them separated. They've got their little cliques among themselves, even though their common denominators being on Al Heyman's Johnson and being racist. I just want to say recently, one of the LDBCers went on my Twitter and he says, "Is your wife black? Are you married to a black woman?" I said, "The last time." So I thought that was hilarious. I followed Rick on Twitter. Thank you, L Dog. What a guy. Much appreciated, L Dog.
Shout out to L Dog in New Zealand.
There you go. But those guys are racist, and anything I say they're going to shoot down. It's automatic, okay? Because I tell the truth. There's no lies. Don King had the greatest line about me years ago. You know what he said? It's a great lie. You'll love it. He said, "Rick Glaser would rather tell the truth when a lie would serve him better, a lot better." So there you go.
Yeah.
So, and just that's the way I am. That's why I was brought up. I mean, I was told when I was a kid, why lie? Lies will come back and haunt you. Tell the truth.
Yeah, you got to be content to tell the truth at all times.
Yeah, why not? Somebody going to walk up and shoot me? Yeah, I didn't like your answer. Boom.
You had an interesting tweet about Trevor, Bryan, and Don King fighting on Impact TV. What was that all about?
It's happening. You're fighting this guy, Chris Lovejoy, I understand. And the date is September 26th. Whether Lovejoy's signed up or not yet, I don't know. But Lovejoy says he's fighting him, so I assume he is. And they're fighting that. They don't have a site yet, but it is on Impact TV. I've talked to all the people involved, and it's happening on September 26th. That's the working date. Now, there's COVID. It could get in the way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, who knows with that? But Impact's pencil that date in for Don King on September 26th for Trevor Bryan. And Trevor Bryan's a great kid, and he should win. And he's like, he's my ass off. Yes, L Dog, you're laughing. Yeah. So it is what it is. I mean, who's he supposed to fight? His travel ban's out. People can't come in the country. People got COVID. They can't get sparring partners. What are you going to do? Fight a top contender? We're lucky we got boxing on that night.
That's true, man. I'm just happy Trevor Bryan's going to get a chance to fight on TV. I mean, I know we don't want to see him fight against Chris Lovejoy, but he hasn't been on TV since Derek Rossi. That was 5 years ago.
I know. Listen, as much as I like Trevor Bryan, as much as I like Stacy, as much as I like Don King, he's only fought in two credible guys, Derek Rossi and BJ Flores. He hasn't. None of the other guys are credible. But is he a good fighter? He won the nationals in the amateur. They brought in great sparring for him over the years, and everybody says he can fight. He can fight.
He can fight, and he's in. I mean, I've had a chance to watch him over the last 5 years in the gym, and he's improved drastically from the Derek Rossi fight.
No question. He's a lot better than people think he is. People think he's a joke because nobody's seen him. He's fought a lot of hobos. He's fought a lot of hobos down in the Dominican. That's just to keep the budget down. In reality, the guy can fight. Don't forget one thing. There's two issues. Either a guy can fight and somebody's spending money on him because he can fight, or he can't fight and they're protecting his ass. Right?
100%.
This time, he can fight. The guy can fight. Okay, and they're investing money. That's the way you look at it.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn's been saying a lot of things recently with his new fight cards coming up. Like he said recently that if things continue as they are in boxing, that women's boxing is going to start threatening male boxing, and you're going to see women's boxing headlining pay-per-view shows. What do you make of that?
In Eddie's mind only. People aren't paying real money to watch women fight. Not happen. Not a big enough percentage of the population. It's tough enough to get them to watch men fight, let alone women. So your answer is no. They might be headlining Eddie's cards, but they're not headlining major cards, and they're not headlining big pay-per-view shows and everything else. They're always going to be a novelty item. People don't get it. They're always going to be. Now, Do they come up with the occasional big fight? Yeah, they had 20 years ago, they had Jackie in the early 2000, had Jackie Frazier and Layla Ali. I mean, because of their fathers. I mean, yeah, there's an occasional huge fight. Don't get me wrong. But it can't carry the sport of women's boxing. The occasional fight every 4 or 5 years doesn't work like that. And not enough people are going to watch. Women are taken seriously in the kitchen and the bedroom. Don't ever forget that.
Didn't Tyson Fury say that? Tyson Fury said
What's
that.
that?
Tyson Fury said that with his wife. He said the only place my wife belongs is on her back or in the kitchen.
There you go.
He said that. He also Eddie also said that, like he said this before, but he said it again. He doubled down on it. He said that he wants to take over the sport globally, and he's the guy to do it, and he wants to kind of make it like the UFC.
He's been a complete failure in the United States. Okay, he overpays for fights. They had no people at Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas. Why he went back to Texas after the guy embarrassed himself? Mikey Garcia never went for it and lost all kinds of credibility. He should have went to another part of the country altogether. Where in a smaller town it would have meant something. In a smaller metropolitan area where it was like the circus comes to town. He does not understand the empathy of. He doesn't have empathy for American boxing. He doesn't understand it. Okay, we don't get the people over there that they get. They're, first of all, people that live in England, the UK as a whole, are much more ethnic centric than we are. Number one, okay, much more. Number two is boxing's a major sport, except for soccer over there. It's the second biggest sport. Okay, you can't count Grand Prix racing because that happens, once a year in England. But okay, you can't count that. But what I'm saying to you is that it's a much bigger sport over there. In the realm of that, it's the second biggest sport. Up here, it's 7. It's tied for 7. So obviously, it gets lost in the shuffle here. Okay, they don't have Major League Hockey. They don't have Major League Baseball. They don't have American type of football.
College sports.
What's that?
You have the college sports as well.
Yeah, well, college sports are big here. I mean, big. They don't have shit over there. Okay, they run around on a field looking for a ball, and half the time it's hiding somewhere. So I mean, seriously, it's not a comparison. Nobody's gonna. Eddie Hearn's not gonna make the world forget about Don King and Bob Arum. I promise that. Not in America.
Nah, yeah, he has got a long way to go. You got Chet Collins asking. He says, a question for Rick: Loma versus Teofimo Lopez. Who do you got?
Well, it's way too early, but I would say Teofimo. But it could go the other way and end up like Loma, like Calzaghe and Jeff Lacey. It's Jeff Lacey and Calzaghe all over again, style wise, the points of their career and everything else. Don't get me wrong. Teofimo was a Honduran Olympian. What's his name was a
Lomachenko.
Jeff Lacey, American Olympian. Calzaghe's left-handed. What's his name's left-handed? Loma. Teofimo is a power puncher. Jeff Lacey's a power puncher. I mean, it could go the complete opposite, but there's something about Teofimo that spells winner, and it's surely not his father. So I think he can fight, and I look for the kid to win. I think the kid's got so much energy and stuff, and I just think that youth, energy. Other guys had 400 amateur fights, a bunch of pro fights now. He's already won world titles in 3 different weight classes, a bunch of unification. But he's not on the back 9, but the edge is off, just like it was with Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton fought the Casazu, the edge was off. This is another fight like that, but that went to the younger, undefeated guy. Similar type of fight.
Okay, all right.
Well, I like Teofimo.
All right, Teofimo. So Rick's going with Teofimo Lopez. Unrivaled says, is the UFC model possible in boxing considering the multiple promotional companies, networks, the Ali Act is in oligopoly possible today?
No. No,
Not at all.
impossible. Too many factions. Unless somebody came in with $2.5 billion and said, okay, I'm buying PBC, I'm buying Top Rank, I'm buying Oscar, I'm buying Hearn, something like that, then and it couldn't happen. Now,
Yeah.
could they come up with $2.5 million? A big company, 2.5 or $3 billion. That's possible. That's highly possible, but I just don't see it unless that's the case. There's too many different factions.
Yeah. It's much too fragmented.
It's too fragmented, and you have people that have their own agenda. Like Bob Arum wants to make the biggest fights. Don King wanted to make the biggest fights. Al Heyman doesn't want to make the biggest fights. So, and then some of Eddie fights you can't wait to see, and some of them, and most of them, you can say, "Oh shit, why are we watching this?" I mean, like Andrade and Luke Keeler in your own hometown there. Oh my God!
I was there.
You're bragging. You must be complaining.
Yeah,
it was a good show. Other than that, the problem is, why would you use that as a main event when you had two other world title fights on there?
Yeah, you had Farmer versus Diaz, and you had Ali Akhmedov, whatever his name is. He won the title.
Danny Roman.
Against Roman,
right. Yeah. So you had two other great fights on there, which were great. Everybody knew Luke Keeler and Andrade was a bum fight. Why? What was the purpose? So people don't watch? I mean, come on. Andrade's got to fight somebody, be more aggressive, and he pretty soon he's going to be a champion that nobody's going to want, because nobody's going to want to fight him and nobody's going to want to watch him. So
that's the worst place to be in boxing. You don't want to be that.
That's where he is. That's where he's gonna be. If when that contract with Eddie Hearn comes due, if he thinks he's gonna get those kind of dollars again, he's got a better shot at getting pregnant, unless he goes and fights McCallum Smith or BJ Saunders or somebody like that. But he's got no inkling to fight anybody. He comes up with excuses. He was supposed to fight BJ, and BJ failed the ped test. Okay, you know how many years ago that was already? Like 3.5.
Yeah, time's flying.
So who's he fought since? Hello? Not even one household name on his record. Not one. Yeah. Name me a household name on his record. Man's 30 years old. Man's 31 years old. Hasn't fought a household name.
Yeah, he's done. I think he's done, man.
At least the Charlos, going back to the Charlos, that will be a financial disaster, that show. Don't get me wrong, but artistically, it's a good show. The two Charlos are in deep, okay, and that's good, but it's going to be an artistic success, and it's going to be a financial failure. It's sort of like what's his name taking a million years to paint the Sistine Chapel. It was an artistic success and legendary, but a financial failure. Should have used the roller.
Yeah, I know on that Golden Boy show, a lot of people have been talking about this. That whole Sinisa Estrada mismatch debacle. How does something like that happen in boxing, Rick? Like, how, from a business standpoint, like, how does that happen?
Desperation. Nobody in the gym. They couldn't bring anybody in from overseas. A real small weight class. It was wrong. First of all, here's where the parties were all wrong. The commission shouldn't have approved it. Okay, they should have looked at her record and saw she fought 5 dummies. Number one. Okay. Number two is, I can't blame Golden Boy as much. I can't blame Golden Boy. Okay, or Robert Diaz, the matchmaker in particular. I can't blame him. I blame the commission. I blame the zone badly because they acted like it was some kind of record. Watch this. No, it was embarrassing. It wasn't watch this. Let's get excited. It was embarrassing. And it was a gross mismatch. Listen, guys walk across the ring and get caught. This was a gross mismatch. Nobody got caught here. It was a gross mismatch. Nobody should have shown it. ESPN and all these new Fox and everybody's showing it like it was great. It was embarrassing.
LeBron James posted about it on his Instagram story too.
He knows about as much about boxing as I know about basketball. He knows nothing about boxing, and I know nothing about basketball. We're even, except he's got a lot more money.
Yeah. I had somebody. Well, there was somebody on Twitter yesterday. It was my man Julius from Ring IQ Boxing Talk. He tweeted saying that people are complaining about the whole Sneesa Estrada fight, but they don't see that, like, you know, it got a lot of attention and it had LeBron James tweeting about it on or posting about it on Instagram. So he said it was good for women's boxing.
It's a 42-year-old woman that fought 5 ham bones. Okay,
yeah,
that's disgusting. Should never been approved. I blame the. I do not blame Golden Boy or Robert Diaz. They did nothing wrong. Okay, that's, you know, I agree shit does happen, but how about the announcers before the fight? Well, this is going to be very long and and, you know, and then about it. Oh my God! Well, if you assholes could have predicted it, then it was embarrassing, right or wrong? Come on, guys. I mean, please.
You're correct. Apparently, she the girl Miranda Atkins. Apparently, her husband's like a small time promoter, like somewhere in the Midwest. I forgot his name, but his name's like John Carter.
He's the bottom of the barrel. Okay, well, if it's a pickle barrel, you're looking at the breen in the bottom of the barrel. That's where he's found.
Have you dealt with John Carter before?
No.
Okay.
Not that low. Thank God.
Rick says, I got standards.
I got morals. Exactly.
100%.
One guy said the other about me the other day. He said, I'll do business with Glaser anytime. I know I'm getting the truth, even though I don't want to hear it. So there you go.
Right. There was one story you posted on Facebook a while ago. It was about like you went on a date with some girl and she said she had a reputation, and then you were like, yeah, that's why I'm here. Yeah.
That was when I was a kid, many years ago. That wasn't recently. I've been married now. It'll be 7 years in November. I went with my wife for a year and a half before we entered the act of marriage, and I went out with I met a woman, and I went out with her, and I met her through somebody else, another guy. You know, he told me the scoop. So she says, "What about my reputation?" I said, "That's why I'm here."
Yeah, I had a similar situation like that one time.
Well,
the girl got all mad at me though for saying it.
That was back in my probably, if I can remember what year that was. That was about 88 maybe, so it's 32 years ago, and I'm 62, so I was 30 years old at the time. So, you know, it's one of those things. I have to have a little wit and a little charm and, you know, quick thinking. And she says, hey, she goes, what about my reputation? I go, that's why I'm here. What the hell?
At least you were honest. They say they want the truth, but they can't handle the truth, like the movie says.
They can sometimes.
Okay.
You know, they can always handle the truth when you tell them you love them and you're giving them diamonds, Rolexes, and Louis Vuittons.
That's right. Well, what's that one story you had? That one story about your wife where she was talking about those calls that you get in the middle of the night, and then you said you get like a couple $1,000. She's like, keep taking those calls, Rick. Keep taking those calls.
I did a deal overseas, and I picked up 5,000, and we went on our honeymoon. And she says, "What about those calls? You haven't got any of those calls in the middle of the night. You know, we were making like 5,000." I said, "Well, I told those people not to call me, you know, to email me or text me because I'm on my honeymoon." She goes, call and text them right back and email them right back and tell them to call. So there you go.
Okay. Well, we had the Nazim Richardson pass away earlier this week, along with I forgot the other guy's name from Houston, but
Flat Top Willie Savannah passed away. Reggie Philbin passed away. I mean, the list is endless.
It's endless, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Nazim Richardson at all? Like, do you have any Nazim Richardson stories?
To be honest with you, I saw him in person one time years ago. in Atlantic City, but I didn't have any contact with him. He never called me. I never talked to him on the phone. Just nothing. A big blank. So, but I know everybody said he was knowledgeable. He was a nice guy. Nobody ever said anything negative about him. And, he was honest and respectful and all the good things you want to hear. There's always truth in, like I said, there's always truth in quantity. Everybody can't be wrong. So, when so many people tell you this guy's knowledgeable, he's a great guy and stuff, you sort of feel like you're supposed to say, hey, yes, he was a good guy. Because, like I said, everybody can't be wrong. But did I know him personally? One of the few guys in boxing I didn't know personally.
Yeah. I met him once in 2016. I interviewed him at the Chris Algieri, Errol Spence weigh-in when he was training Steve Cunningham for the Glavaki fight. And I had a good experience with him. I had nothing bad to say about him at all.
Nobody's ever said anything bad about the guy. Like I said, everybody can't be wrong. So, it's a good thing. Flat Top, he was hot and cold, good guy, but he pissed people off, but not a bad guy overall. Willie Savannah, what a character. He managed Juan Diaz. He had a huge amateur program in Houston up until a couple of years ago. He raised the Charlos. He did it all, and he brought Juan Diaz along from the first day he walked into a gym to 3 world titles. I had 3 unified title. I had something to do with this when he won the WBO title and the IBF title, because Willie didn't want to fight Freitas, and I talked him into it. I'm the one that brought him Juan Diaz to Don King, and Don signed him in 2006 after he had been with Main Events his whole career. So I was the linchpin there.
Yeah, you were the guy that connected all the dots.
Yep. And I'm also one that had to smooth all the egos out, because Willie was always fighting with Don, and oh my God, that was a full-time job, because they were always fighting with one another, Willie and Don. What Willie said to me one day? One of the worst lines in history of all time. You ready?
What did he say to you?
I know Don's screwing me. I says, he's not. Why do you think he's screwing? How do you know he's screwing you? He says, it's Don King. I know he's screwing me. Who says, yo, these are the flesh. Very nice. Hello, whoever who you are. How you doing?
Okay. Well, we got a question.
We got a compromise. Was it?
Compromised.
Compromised or undermined by the promotional network politics in boxing. Oh my God! I mean, you need more than yellow legal pads. You need a factory full. I mean, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. Richard Frazier and Roy Jones. I mean, you were a kid at the time. I don't even know if you were born there, Brendan.
I was born in 1995.
What's that?
I was born in 1995.
Well, you were a little kid. That was like 97 or 98. That was disgusting. There's been a lot of fights that you say, oh my God, not a good look.
Yeah, like Rod Salka versus Danny Garcia. That one comes
another fine example. Another fine example. Fight. I mean, I wouldn't even have the colossal gall to propose these type of fights. Please. I broker deals all day long. This is what I do. And I wouldn't have the colossal gall to say, what do you think about Danny Garcia and Rod Salka? I'm a purist. When I embarrass myself, I'd be afraid to say it.
I remember Eric Gomez did an interview after that fight, and the guy asked him, do you think Rod Salka deserved the fight? He's like, yeah, he deserved the fight. He's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. He deserved it.
He was a 30-pounder. The other guy was a 40-pounder. It wasn't even at 40. It was like 42 because it was a non-title fight. And please, a full-time professional fighter versus a hobbyist? Come on, please.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. My man Emilio X has a question. He says, as an amateur in Europe going pro soon, I'm coming to the U.S. Any tips on buying quality sparring? What's the average cost?
It depends what city you're in, what weight class you're in. Depends how long you want a guy in. But normally, if you're an amateur and you're coming to America, people will spar with you for free because you're a 4-round fighter or a 6-round fighter. But if you're a 10-round fighter and you're world champ or you're an eliminator or any of these other things, then a fighter gets $1,000 a week to spar. But for a young guy, 25 years old, they'll spar with you for free. Don't worry about it. And if anybody tries to charge you for sparring, you get a hold of my man here, Brendan Taylor at Tru Sports, and he will get a hold of me, and I will straighten that mess right out for you.
There you have it. And Emilio, if you want to get in contact with Rick, you can follow him at the real Rick Glaser 1, right? That's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, I came on, and there's a lot of fake Rick Glaser accounts out there. It's disgusting, but I came on in January 2020, and I got about 2,020 followers. So there you go.
Yeah, and some high-profile ones too, because I saw I think Oscar De La Hoya. I saw Oscar De La Hoya retweeted you, and
yeah, Bruce Prancer, he follows me. Gordon Hall from Showtime, they all do. Mike Coppinger, Steve Kim, all the big writers. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, for the LDBCers and the Haymanites and the Agenda crew, yes, I'm in boxing full time. So, I mean, they have their doubts. Like, I'm some kind of how come I don't see you at the fights? Why don't I go to PBC fights?
Have you ever been to a PBC fight?
No, nor would I go. I was at some Oscar promoted events when Heyman's fighters were at Oscar, but I've never been at a PBC show. Nor would I go. No, that's like subjecting yourself to abuse. If I was a sadomasochist, maybe I would go.
Yeah. That
went over your head. Did you hear what I said?
You said something about being a sadomasochist.
If I was a sadomasochist, I would go.
Yeah, if you wanted to torture yourself, pretty much.
Correct.
Okay. Unrivaled wanted to ask you, he says, who's Rick's favorite current fighter below 126 pounds?
I would say the two Maloney brothers. They're not only their clients of mine, I supply their sparring partners. I'm friends with their managers and the trainers for 12 years now. They're just very exciting fighters. They're very polite. They both follow me on Twitter, and they both speak highly about me to people around the world, and you can't help but love the two Maloney brothers. They're what boxing's all about. They're the cream of the crop as human beings. You'll never see on milk cartons, or in a post office or anything like that. The latest criminal that the FBI is looking for, the 10 most wanted list, even though they're Australians. But they're not that type. They're really nice kids, and they both can fight. I would say that under 26, I'd say the two Maloney brothers. My favorite fighter to watch, I have is Casimiro.
Oh, you love Casimiro?
Love him. Yeah,
great. I saw him train.
Fun to watch. Gives you some percent. He's a world champ. I mean, come on. He travels the world. He goes to people's foreign all over the world, knocks people out. I mean, how could you not like him? It's a no-brainer.
I had a chance to watch him train at Mundo Boxing Gym in March, just before the whole COVID was announced. And this guy, he punches like a 140 pound, a 154 pound. I mean, his punching power is different. I never heard anybody that small punch that hard in the gym.
No, he's very heavy-handed. Very, very natural, heavy-handed guy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him get back in the ring, hopefully against like an Inoue.
We all are, aren't we?
Yeah, that was like the main fight I wanted to see.
The world wants to see that fight. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's truth in quantity. Everybody can't be wrong.
No.
Come on, Brendan. You're slowing down. Speed it up.
All right. All right. Larry. Huh?
I'm your man. Come on now.
All right. Larry Holmes recently came out and said that he doesn't think that these guys fighting today in the heavyweight division that any of them would last in his era. Would you agree with him or disagree with him?
They may last, but they wouldn't beat those guys. No, those guys knew how to fight. I explained this to you before. I told Stacy this, and Stacy agrees with me. Trial errors of fighters. They fought their way home every day from school. They fought for their food. They fought everything. Everything was a fight in their life. And the last two eras of fighters, generations, people don't fight anymore on the way home from school. They take a gun out and shoot your ass, or they stab your ass. So they don't learn how to fight till they get into a gym. These guys in this generation and the prior generation are way behind. And those guys knew how to fight. Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis was the prior generation before this generation. He knew how to fight. Foreman, Ali, Frazier, all of them. Duran, Leonard, Benitez, Hagler. Those were animals. They knew how to fight. These guys don't know how to fight today. Somebody has to teach them. Back then, you already knew how to fight. They just made you better. Today, they got to take you from scratch because nobody fights in the street. Rick is the truth. Thank you very much, whoever that is.
Well, kids now, like I know just from growing up around, I didn't grow up in the ghetto, but I grew up close to it. I remember kids were like really proud of, like, they would say like, oh yeah, if he beats my ass, I'm getting my gun and I'm coming back and I'm just gonna shoot him. Like people take pride in shooting each other.
I'm telling you, it's a sick generation of people. I want to give you another example of what I just said. Okay. When I was growing up, we played street hockey. We played baseball in the street. We played football in the street. We used to tackle each other in the street, for Christ's sake. Okay. Now you drive in those same neighborhoods. Nobody plays street hockey anymore. They're all on their computers with a 20 ounce of Pepsi and with the Doritos, and they're getting with the cheese on the Doritos, and they're getting fat.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a different generation of people today. It's completely different. This is another example. People used to go to work. They used to go have a drink, and they used to go home, right? And work, the blue collar worker. Today, there's not nearly as many blue collar workers or white collar workers today. Today, they go to work, then they go to work out.
That's
different
right.
generation of people. It's different generation of people today, all together.
It's a generation. It's a generation of men raised by single mothers. That's what it is.
Yep. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what it is. It's the feminization of men. It's not hard. Like it's not hard to see. Like you see it in boxing. You can tell who in boxing didn't have their fathers around.
I can't that well, but I do have a good inkling. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Our Box Talk asks, what's your prediction for AJ versus Fury? No. Did he say
AJ
that?
Fury.
Yeah.
Fury wins. Fury wins. Too much of a jab. Too much mobility. The difference is Fury was born to fight. He was named to Tyson Fury after Mike Tyson. Okay.
Right.
His father was a fighter. He planned on him being a fighter. If he wanted him to be a genius, he would have named him Einstein. Okay? And he was born a fighter. He's not manufactured. He's a natural born fighter. Give him all the props in the world, and I think I can't see Joshua beating him.
Yeah. Well, like Fury's probably the only guy fighting right now that I think could have been successful in the Larry Holmes era. But that size, Tyson Fury,
yeah.
I think he's the only guy fighting right now that would have been successful. Hello?
The guy's got bigger over the years, so that's not. So in other words, he wouldn't have been 6'9". He would have been like 6'4", 6'4.5", and he would have weighed 222 pounds. He wouldn't have weighed 271 pounds. So. But he would have been a threat in any era, is what you're saying. I agree with that. But he wouldn't have been as big. Keep that in mind.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Unrivaled asked about Larry Holmes. He says, do you believe Larry Holmes was shot when he fought Mike Tyson, or is it that a myth to detract from Mike, considering Larry gave Evander a hell of a fight and destroyed Ray Mercer?
Shot. The fight was made on 2 months' notice. Don King came with the $3.5 million in the middle of the night. and completely shot and shouldn't have fought. When he fought Mercer and when he fought Holyfield, he had a long time to get ready, and he had a whole bunch of tune-up fights along the way. After he got knocked out by Tyson, and he was off for over 3 years, I think maybe even 3.5 years, when he fought Tyson, literally off, out, and everything else. And then he had that big build-up, but he was in shape and everything else. Believe me when I tell you, a prime Larry Holmes would have done the same thing as an old Larry Holmes did to a young Mercer. Guaranteed. Played with him. Toyage. Larry Holmes is ring brilliant, okay? And he had so much self-control, and he always fought within himself. So
yeah,
he's a tough guy to beat.
He had the different variations of that jab too. I was watching this fight with Randall Tex Cobb, and I love watching that jab.
Oh, that's the wrong fight to look at. That was so disgusting, that fight. Oh my!
I know.
I watched that fight in West Palm Beach, Florida. I mean, I was nauseous. It was just such a beatdown and everything else. What's your prediction on Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell?
Yeah.
It depends. If the fight's over here, Garcia wins no matter what. If it goes over there, I could see it going to the scorecards in a close fight. But Garcia should win over there too. I don't see why he wouldn't. If the fight takes place. So far, we haven't had any announcement that it's taking place. Only that it was ordered.
What do you make of Ryan Garcia? Like, what do you think about Ryan Garcia? I don't think I ever asked you about Ryan Garcia.
I think he's an excellent young fighter with a lot of potential, but he's not. He's getting very poor. I've written it on Twitter. I've written it on Facebook multiple times. Getting very bad advice. Very, very bad advice. He's stymieing his career. He's causing people not to like him, the fans. You're turning down $250,000 for a fight, which is more than the minimum in your contract, and which is more than fair. And when people unemployed, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and people unemployed, and they don't know where their next meal's coming from or their next dollar's coming from. Okay, you're driving around in a Ferrari with a bag of McDonald's in front of you, pulling up in a townhouse. Guess what? Nobody should feel sorry for that dumb bastard.
Let them know, Rick. Talk to these fools, man.
They don't get it.
They really don't.
I personally, the most skilled heavyweight of all time. Nice to hear your thoughts. Oh, absolutely, not even a question. Brains, quick jab, mobile, knows how to tie a guy up. How about the ultimate survival? They were counting him out against Shavers. He rose from the dead. They were counting out against Snipes. He rose from the dead. They were counting them out with Kevin Isaac early in his career. They were counting them out, and he got up. Come on, guys. He's the ultimate survivor, this guy. I mean, that Holmes Norton fight, June 1978, the Caesars Palace Pavilion, one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all. The 15th round, he needed that 15th round. He had to have that 15th round. He went out there and sucked it up, and he won it with a torn bicep, a fucked up shoulder. It didn't matter. Larry Holmes is the ultimate survivor in boxing.
I never heard anybody phrase it that way about Larry Holmes. I've heard them talk about the jab. I heard them talk about his skills, but never that he was the ultimate survivor.
Listen, he survived a lot of other things too about the sport, the politics. He got ripped off on the politics with Michael Spinks, but overall, guess what? He survived boxing. He left all his scruples and a lot of money.
Is he still well off for Larry Holmes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A couple years ago, he turned down a personal appearance for 2 days for me for $20,000 at a small casino. Because I don't need too much for him. He said, I need $2 billion. He said another billion. I said, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it sounds like Larry has that fuck you money too.
Oh yeah. So does Lennox Lewis.
Lennox, yeah. And you said I think you told me one time Joe Calzaghe's minted as well. He's pretty well off.
Are you kidding me? He's very well heeled financially. A great guy, an asset to boxing. He just went away quietly from boxing. He doesn't need to be a manager. He doesn't need to be a trainer. He doesn't need to be anything. He just wants to be a father to his kids and a good person to the community.
Absolutely. What do you think about Eddie Hearn's boxing schedule coming out with like the whole Matchroom fight camp?
I don't know. I mean, he's being a little bit of a blowhard, isn't he? Having it at the family compound.
Yeah, he's having it in the back garden.
You know, why would you want to subject your family homestead to that? I don't get that. I don't mean just the unearthing of the property, but you know, where you live and everybody sees how you live. I wouldn't want that if I was him. That's all.
I think in one of his interviews he said that him having it at his house is gonna make it's gonna allow him to make his events sexy, you know, because he worked so hard on making boxing sexy for years, and he wants to keep pushing the envelope. That's what he said. That was his reasoning.
I mean, great. You know what I'm saying? It's do one more DAZN buy. It's not going to do one more buy anywhere, and it's Eddie being Eddie. That's all there is to it there. You know what I'm saying? So great, and you know. So I mean, I have a lot of respect for Eddie. I have a lot of respect for his father. But just because somebody's successful doesn't mean everything they do is right. Don't ever forget that. I gave Don King that line years ago. Just because you're the ultimate success in boxing doesn't mean everything you do is right. You do things that are wrong. He says, Slick Rick, you might be right, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Come on, you're slowing down again.
We got Rick Glaser, guys.
Slow down. Get that chin away. Get that hand away from that chin.
Yeah, I gotta stop doing that. I'm over here posed like a model or something.
But yeah, you're a long way from a model. I got a better shot.
So. Nah, I don't think so, man. Not even in your prime, Rick.
But, hey, the only thing you'll have to model eat is at Brews, chicken wings and a beer at the Brews. Come on now.
Any morning.
I want to have a shout out to a friend of mine that said he was going to watch today. His name is Teddy Carandis from Buffalo, longtime friend of mine, go back many years. And Teddy's a big boxing fan, a big Yankee fan. Okay, L-Dog, never unfollow Rick again. His love and knowledge for the sport runs deep. Thank you, L-Dog. That
was unrivaled. He's telling L-Dog.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, L-Dog, I appreciate it if you follow that man's lead. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Did you watch the Thompson boxing card last night?
No. My wife said to me, Rick, you have a wife. May I remind you, it's a Sunday night and you have a wife. So no, I didn't. Yeah.
Well, you're very fortunate not to. The stream was lagging, and the first two fights you couldn't even watch. The first, it was like real choppy.
I will say this to you: the fact that they went on a Sunday night, they had a good idea there.
Mm-hmm.
The fact, even though I couldn't watch it because I had social commitments with my wife,
okay,
it was only $6.50. I got to give them a lot of credit for that. And they're trying. They're in a pandemic. They're a small organization. Alex Campanovo knows what he's doing. They're an honorable organization. Ken Thompson's got wherewithal. So they did what they had to do to make it happen. All hats off to Alex Campanovo and Ken Thompson last night. No question about that.
From like everything I've read and heard, Ken Thompson seems like one of the legitimate, like good people in boxing, like putting on those club shows.
He's one of very few, is what you should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a classy guy. See, he's one of those kind of guys. He didn't enter. This is how I would describe Ken Thompson. He doesn't have enough money to buy the LA Dodgers, but he's got enough money to have a very nice professional boxing promotional company. And that's where he sits in life. So does he have enough money to pay $4 billion for the Dodgers? No. In Dodger Stadium? No. But guess what? He has enough money to have a nice promotional company, and hats off to Mr. Thompson. it's a funny thing. I always use the line. He puts his money where his mouth is. He doesn't have a big mouth, so I can't use that on him. But he does the right thing. He's a gentleman. He does the right thing. No question about that. I have nothing but respect for Ken Thompson.
I'm sure you've dealt with him, right?
Very peripherally over the years. Very little. So very little. Very little.
Okay, L Dog. I saw a comment for L Dog. He said that you need to join the Philip Hergovic fan club. He's the next Vladimir Klitschko.
He's good. No, he's good. I got to tell you, I would make Hlebovic a prohibitive favorite to beat Fury at this depreciated level now. Yeah, at this depreciated level. But he's not. I think Dubois is a step up of over Hlebovic right now. That doesn't mean.
How about Dillian White?
What's that?
How about a Dillian White fight? Like if you were to get in there with Dillian White.
He doesn't have enough experience to go with White yet. He does. White, complete fighter. And he doesn't have enough experience to go with White. Fury doesn't take. Wilder doesn't take experience because he doesn't know how to box. So you don't need to have experience to beat Wilder because he can't box a lick.
Yeah, I like Hergovic. I think Hergovic's gonna be a world champion.
Yeah, he's capable, no question. But I don't think he's as good as unless there's some kind of character flaw in Daniel Dubois. But outright fighting ability and punching power and crispness to his game, I think that Dubois is a little bit ahead of him right now.
Okay. We got another question from somebody. They asked, what's your prediction for Marius Briedis versus Junior Doticos? Briedis seems to be on the decline, and your thoughts on the World Boxing Super Series as a whole? Thank you. It's
been a complete failure. A financial mess, a juggernaut of time delays, incomplete seasons that carried them off too long. It's been a mess. It's been a mess since the beginning. It wasn't like
unpaid bonuses. They had unpaid bonuses.
What's that?
They had that thing in 2018. They weren't paying the fighters their bonuses for knockouts.
That's only a small part of it. They've just been a horrific mess, and I think Doricos is going to win, but I don't think Briedis is all that, and Doricos can punch a hole in the wall. So I look for Doricos to win, but if Briedis won, I wouldn't be so shocked. But it's a good fight, no fight. It's worth watching. Let's put it that way to you.
Did you say Doricos couldn't punch a hole through a wall? Like he can't?
He can punch a hole.
That's what he can do.
He's like Wilder. He's a better boxer than Wilder, but he's a little bit of the Wilder platform.
Yeah, I remember when he got that devastating knockout over Andrew Tabiti last year. That was a brutal one.
That was like asking to get knocked out.
Yeah. I know Roma Gonzalez was demanding $1 million for the Gaio Estrada rematch. Did you see that? Did you see what he was saying about that?
Worth $1 million. They're paying Chavez $6 million. They're paying Mikey Garcia $7 million. They're paying Jesse Vargas $2.7. Why should he get $1 million? More people will watch Estrada versus Chocolito than watch Mikey Garcia and Vargas, in my mind, and he paid $9.7 million for that garbage. So there you go. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not saying anything differently either. Like in 2016, after beat Quadras and they were talking about the Estrada rematch, he was saying the same thing back then.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
The fight warrants. That's what. Listen, you know any fight fan, any real fight fan that's not going to watch that fight.
I can't think of one.
Thank you. End of story. A lot of people I know didn't watch Chavez and Danny Jacobs, and they didn't watch Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas. So there's your bottom line. He's asking for $1 million, not $9.7 million. They can do that fight, that whole card for $2 million. Give the guy.
I think him and Estrada should both get $1 million. I think they both deserve it.
You might be right about that. Okay, so it's a $2.5 million card.
Yeah. It's doable. It's very doable. How about one of the stars of the Top Rank series, Clay Collin? What have you made of his whole 2020 so far, beating all these undefeated prospects?
Against 3 undefeated prospects, 1 journeyman. What's there to say? The guy gives 1,000. This is what proves all you do is have to be in respectable shape and give 1,000% of yourself at the 6th round level, and you can win fights. Now, that doesn't happen at the 12 round level because you're talking about highly skilled world champions. But at the 6th round level, that's all you got to be is in great shape and give 1,000% of yourself. You can win, and he's proved that. He's become like a cult type fight. He's got like a cult type following. I can't wait to see him again fight. I asked Brad Goodman the other night from Top Rank, what night's he fighting on? And right after he fought last, we're not sure the exact night yet. But thanks for asking. I said, yeah, because we're real good friends. I mean, Brad and I, we talk multiple times a day on the phone. And you know what? Top Rank's taken a real interest in this guy. And everybody else is using him like an opponent. And he kept beating their prospects. So,
do you think Top Rank's gonna actually try to maybe sign him and build him up as a fighter, like a legitimate fighter?
Not even a question in my mind. I mean, they had Butterbean, they had Mia St. John, fight, and it's not a gimmick, right?
Yeah. He brings the pain, man. I love watching him fight.
Listen, every fighter should be as good as him. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, he's been a true breath of fresh air because you can't drag these guys to the ring sometimes, and here we got a guy who's willing to go up and down weight classes, fight whoever, wherever. He's been a true testament to the sport.
I'm going to tell you a story that I heard about him.
Okay, go ahead.
So he was supposed to fight this Daniel Kaminsky.
Yeah, David Kaminsky.
David Kaminsky. He ends up beating him. And do you know what he said to those guys before the fight when they told him about David Kaminsky?
What'd he say?
What'd you say the date was? He didn't even ask any other. What'd you say the date was? He didn't give a fuck who the guy was, how much it was. It was a guy left-handed, right-handed, who his mother was, who his father was, who his grandparents were. Did he pay his rent? He didn't give a fuck. He just fought. Just won the fight. That's old school shit.
That's throwback fighter stuff.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Somebody told him Kaminsky was left-handed. He says, okay.
Who gives a damn?
The fuck? So the results are there. The results. I can see him being 20-2, fighting for a world title. So
that's possible.
It'll be a lot of fun. Let's put it that way to you.
Yeah. The only guy that stopped him is that Bektir Melikuziev, the Uzbekistan. I think
he took the fight on 24 hours notice. Come on.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
3 months notice or a month, or that was like 2 or 3 days before. It was like, come on. You can't go by that. You got to go by if this guy trains what he's all about. You can give 1,000%. I'm saying he got balls down to his ankles. He's got a great chin, and he gives 1,000% of himself. You can't ask for anything more than all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe that's a fight Top Rank could look into in the future once he gets enough wins.
I don't think that they're going to be looking to fatten up somebody else's Russian. I think they got an attraction. They're going to keep it that way.
Okay, fair enough. L Dog has a question for you. He says, do you follow amateur boxing? If so, what amateur boxers do you expect to make an impact in the pro ranks when they transition?
Don't follow them at all. People say to me, "Oh, I brought Top Rank. I'm sorry, Top Rank. I brought a couple fighters to different promoters that were hot amateurs. One U.S. Olympian, and one last year, and then also one Canadian Olympian through a particular manager. I got a piece. I don't follow these guys at all. These guys called me, or the one guy's advisor trainer called me. And, I brokered the deal. And the Canadian guy, a mutual friend of ours, called me and told him to call me and stuff. I don't follow amateur boxing at all. I know Tiger Johnson's supposed to be good. Mark Castro's supposed to be good. These type of guys are supposed to be good, but I don't know. I can't tell you they're going to be good. This is what people are telling me.
Yeah, you can see the names of the grapevine, pretty much.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Let's see what else is there? I don't know, Rick. I think I'm about
6
good.
minutes. Go.
Huh?
You got 6 minutes to go.
For what?
6 o'clock. Come on. We 6 minutes.
Oh, stop. Yeah, stop. Okay. Well, are there any fights you're looking forward to, Rick?
Teofimo, Loma is a no-brainer. If they get Belchart and Valdez together, yes. Frampton and Jamel Herring, when they get that together, those are 3 fights I'm looking for because I don't know who's going to win. I think Stevenson's a slight favorite over Belchart because I think he can be the next Mayweather, and I think he just can defuse a guy. But those are all 3 great fights. Another guy like a Cody. Clay Colliard. I'm saying Cody. Clay Colliard is that's real likable and like the Maloney brothers is Jamel Herring. He's a wonderful guy, great for boxing. Here's a guy. Look at the credentials: national amateur champion multiple times, armed forces, Marines, U.S. Olympian. Got used and abused at PBC. Top rank welcomes him with open arms. A year later, after 4 fights, he's a world champion. Now he's already had title defenses. Guys, that is taking a fighter from the scrap heap and bringing him to the top of the game. And everybody had a role in it. Jamel Herring had a role in it. Heyman kept telling him, he's 130. You're 135 pounds, Jamel. Jamel kicks, I'm 130. No, you're not. You're 35. He kept getting beat. Top rank moves him down. He goes to Bryan McIntyre, goes to top rank. All of a sudden, everybody takes an interest in the guy. Now they got a world champion. And now he's going to get big fight Frampton. Probably beat Frampton. So there you go. That's a great story.
It is a great story. I didn't ask. This is what I forgot to ask you about Keith Thurman. Hyro asks thoughts on Keith Thurman's career. Is the honeymoon treating him good?
Must be some serious ass pussy. Woo! Right.
From the paw, man. He had to go get it from the paw.
Oh yes. What do I think of Keith Thurman? I thought at one time he was a very good fighter. Clearly on the back nine now. Clearly on the back nine. Doesn't have the desire. Says he does, just doesn't. It's a long way from the lip to the ring, and you got to prepare to be in that ring. And I just don't see him being the same fighter that he once was. I could see him 20 years from now selling used cars.
Selling used cars? Yeah. He's going to do a reverse Rick Glaser, like he went from boxing to used cars. He went from used cars to boxing.
Right. Exactly. I can see him. I just don't think he's going to be a long-term success story. And I think that he's going to squander money and she's going to spend it. And it ain't going to be pretty.
He seems to be in a place of desperation because he's calling like everybody and their mother out. He's calling Pacquiao again because he wants that Pacquiao payday. He's calling out Kell Brook. He's calling out Errol Spence now.
He is a man without an island. Okay, he should be blessed to get a Terrence Crawford fight, but he'll overprice himself because it's the other side of the street. He'll fight a Heyman fighter for less. That's his mentality, and that's Al Heyman's mentality.
I mean, Keith Thurman was the guy that said that Al Heyman is a blessing to the sport of boxing.
Car salesman? Okay, I'm close. Okay, come on. He'll need a job. That's my point. He'll need a job.
I think he'll probably give lessons on how to play the flute.
Yep. Maybe
probably
maybe the skin flu too.
Okay, well, Rick, it's about to be 6 o'clock, man. So, any message to the boxing world?
Thanks. I had a real nice show. Everybody, Twitter at Real Rick Glaser 1, the numeral 1, and there's a bunch of fake Rick Glazers out there, accounts, a lot of parody accounts. They say it's a compliment. I'm sort of insulted if somebody's stealing my name and likeness. But I came out in January of 2020, and I have 21, about somewhere around a little over 2,100 followers. Okay, so January 2028 came out. It's at Real Rick Glaser. And you did a great job again. You always do, brother. Thanks, BT. Tru School Sports. Always keep it in mind. Press all those buttons, likes, do whatever you got to do. Press them. He's a good quality guy. And don't forget, I owe you lunch. Check, you're rich.
All right, Rick.
To you. Thank you again for having me. Bye-bye now.
All right, Rick. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And that, guys, was Rick Glaser. So yeah, it was a quality interview, man. We had our main man, Rick Glaser. He came through. He blessed the channel with hold on. We got my man Eldog. Look, Eldog said it best. It's the untouchable Tru School Sports Empire. You know what it is, the untouchable Tru School Sports Empire. We proudly presenting something the boxing game's been missing. Okay, that was Rick Glaser, professional boxing businessman, boxing insider. He was here. He dropped many quotables that I'm sure I'm gonna have to chop up. And before I end the live, maybe I'll come back live again, and we'll do a live where you talk to people about boxing. But what I wanted to say was tomorrow we're gonna do another interview. It's not gonna be a Rick Glaser. We got somebody else tomorrow. Just a quick announcement for you guys. We got for our tomorrow's show. We're gonna be interviewing Clay Collett's parents. We're gonna be interviewing his dad, Chris Collett, and his mother. His dad recently reached out to me on Facebook, and we talked, and he wants to talk to me about Clay and his career and just give people a little lowdown on Clay's story. And he's been watching my videos, and he loves what I'm doing here. So he decided to reach out to me and to tell the Clay Collett story, to tell the story of the Collett family. So that'll be tomorrow. I don't think it's not gonna be as early as today. It'll probably be sometime more in the night. I think he said after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that would be 7 p.m. Central Time. You guys will get the times tomorrow. I'll make a post about it. But tomorrow, Clay Collett's parents, Chris Collett and Clay's mother, they'll be on here to talk about his career and all that good stuff. So yeah, that was Rick Glaser. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I'm going to end this live. I'll probably start another one within the next 30 minutes or so. We'll get Pops on here. We'll talk boxing. Get you guys on here because we always have a lot of fun. But I'm gonna end it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like it said, like Eldog says right here, it's the untouchable Tru School Sports Empire, proudly presenting something the boxing game's been missing. And you guys can comment. You guys can do all that good stuff. Like, subscribe. Go check out my interview that just dropped with Najee Lopez this morning. It didn't get a lot of views. I don't think it will right now, but he talked about when he fought Jared Anderson in the amateurs. He's somebody that hasn't turned pro yet, but you're going to be hearing about him. He's a very, very talented kid. He's going to be going places when he does turn pro. So I want you guys to be put on game before he does start going places. And with that being said, like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.